When you were here before,
Oh my God.
couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep.
Lifetime welcomes you to a live presentation of the National Women's Soccer League.
Week 16 of the NWSL and Lifetime brings us about 30 miles north of our nation's capital to Boyd's, Maryland, as the Washington Spirit play host to the Boston Breakers, two teams that are in desperate need of a win to make a late-season playoff push.
The Washington Spirit rookies are making their presence known behind star Mallory Pugh and forward Ariel Shipp, who is finding her rhythm and striving to ignite this young offense.
Opportunity on for Washington. Oh, what a goal! Ariel Shipp.
But the Boston Breakers have some offense of their own, as Rosie White posted her first two-goal game and is motivated to help this team break a four-game winless streak and keep their playoff hopes alive. It's the NWSL on Lifetime. The Spirit versus the Breakers, live.
Welcome to Maureen Hendricks Field at the Maryland Soccerplex. The Spirit finally returned home after a rough four-game road trip. They went 1-3 on that swing. They hope the home crowd can buoy them to 3 points over a Breakers team that just beat the Spirit up in Boston back on July 1st, 1-0. Here are your standings. If the playoffs started today, these would be your top four, and all these teams play this week. North Carolina is on the road at Seattle. Chicago hosts Portland. Orlando and Sky Blue also play, and you see our teams, Washington and Boston, trying to make a late-season push to that top four. And to do that for Washington, you're going to have to rely on one of the best and brightest in American soccer, 19-year-old Mallory Pugh, the U.S. international. She has 3 goals since joining this Washington team back in May. 2 of those goals came in her last home game here on Lifetime, July 8th, which ended up being a 2-2 draw against Orlando. And for Boston, Rosie White, she was great last week. 2 goals, the equalizer, and the one that gave them the 2-1 lead over KC in just a stretch of a few minutes. That game did end in a 2-2 draw. The New Zealand international will have to be influential if the Breakers want to walk away with a home W. Hey everybody, I'm Dallin Cuff. Welcome back to the NWSL and Lifetime. Great to have you here. And these two teams have really been mirrors of each other all season. Both very young teams have dealt with a lot of injuries to key veteran players. But because those injuries have allowed this youth to really grow and blossom. We talked about Mallory Pugh already. The 19-year-old is great. Rose Lavelle, #1 overall pick, was player of the month in April in this league. She's still out with a hamstring injury for Boston, but there are still a lot of rookies that have really stepped up. Here are 4 of them that have really shot to the top. For Washington, Ariel Shipp was the Week 15 Player of the Week, a goal and 2 assists. Maggie Doherty-Howard, we'll hear more from her in a few minutes. She had her first NWSL goal last week in a 4-1 win for Washington over Sky Blue. Midge Purse opened up her NWSL account against this Washington Spirit team in a 1-0 win for the Breakers back in July. Morgan Andrews, 3rd overall pick. She won a national championship last year at USC. She's become a stalwart in Matt Beard's midfield. Now, talk about youth. The lady standing next to me, she knows something about being influential and young. She is the youngest player of the 2003 Women's World Cup team, a 2004 gold medalist in Athens, the one and only Kat Whitehill. Look, you're dancing around people and gets the goal. Great to have Kat join us here, youngest member, as I mentioned, of the 2003 World Cup team. Kat, great to have you on board. You played at this Washington team, played at this very field for 2 years. You know this team very well. You know Boston very well. Let's start with D.C. They want to make a playoff push. Jim Gabarra told us, we're going 1 game at a time, but we want to find a way to make a late season push. How do they do that?
They need to find an identity. They have not been consistent in the lineup, and some of their main players, like Stefania Bonini and Mallory Pugh, have been injured. They need to find them more, get them on the ball, have as many touches as possible, and they just haven't been able to do that. So in this late stretch, they're going to need them going forward.
Tough spot right now, too. 3rd game this week. Stephanie LeBay, the #1 international for Canada in goal. She's out of the lineup right now. Different goalkeeper situation. The midfield, though, you feel is critical in this matchup.
Absolutely, and you can see in one pass, the three midfielders get beat from in this sky blue game. They've got to remain compact. They need to stay together in close spaces, and this is where they're very good. They're forcing the team back. They're staying together. You can see them all in the same space. Even when the team loses the ball, they're constantly putting the team under pressure, making sure the ball is sending back, and then ultimately they recover the ball. And this is the biggest one with Doherty Howard right here, winning the first initial ball, making that run, changing the line. All she needs is one touch, and she gets the goal in there. And that's what they need to see more of, more runs out of the midfield from those players.
That midfield's got to be critical for both teams. When we talk about and turn our attention to Boston. Now, I always look at it. Many of us look at the lack of goals. They've only scored 12 goals. That's least in the league. But you're focused on their midfield and particularly defensively.
Absolutely. And the main one for them is Angela Salem in the midfield. She's their enforcer. She's their most consistent player. She has to make sure that she gets in those passing lanes and doesn't allow for an easy pass to the center back. And right here, defensive transition. One player is able to beat all three of them in the midfield. Here's Scott just cruises through, plays one pass, and it leads to a Kansas City goal, and they cannot allow for that slow transition. And this, again, is where they're better. They're together. They're within 10 yards of each other. They force a turnover, and then they're able to keep the ball. That's where their strength is. In possession, they're smart in passing. They switch the point of the attack very well, and they're starting to really work together.
It's going to be an interesting tactical battle. The fans are starting to come here to Maureen Hendricks Field. And when we come back, though, you'll hear more about Mallory Pugh. We know she's achieved so much in just her 19 years on this planet, but what inspires her? What motivates her? And where can she go next? Hear a little bit more from Mallory and what is an emotional, inspirational story after the break. Back here in Maryland as we get you set is a very cute family affair here as Spirit take on the Breakers. 10 minutes to the hour will be kickoff, and we are just over 2 months away from the championship. And tickets to the 2017 NWSL Championship will go on sale this coming Tuesday, August 15th. The championship will be held at Orlando City Stadium on Saturday, October 14th, and will be broadcast live on Lifetime with the kickoff time to be announced at a later date. For more information, log on to nwslchampionship.com. We already talked about this youth and this rising rookie in Maggie Doherty Howard, but she is not brand new to the Spirit crew. Kat is with Maggie.
You have been a part of the Spirit system for a while. How has that benefited you in your first year as a pro?
Just being with the Spirit the past 2 summers before I came up here really helped me get used to the system they want to play. In addition to just the players on the team, there's a couple that have been here the past 2 years, so just being more familiar with them, and then obviously the coaches has helped me a lot.
You've had a lot of games in a short amount of time. How are you personally feeling going into this game against the Breakers?
I mean, I think like the rest of the team, we're all really excited to be back home for once. You know, we've been on the road for the past 4 games, so we've done everything we can to prepare in terms of recovery and just making sure we're feeling as fresh as we can. So I think just our excitement and energy for this game is going to help carry us through.
Well, thank you so much for the time. And now heading back up to the broadcast booth with my broadcast partner, Jen Hildreth.
Thanks so much, Kat. And Maggie Doherty Howard has been so terrific in the midfield for Washington this season. One of many new faces on this team, but none had more fanfare than U.S. national team rising star Mallory Pugh. I mean, you remember back in April what it was like when Mallory made the announcement that she was going to bypass her college career at UCLA and go pro to play in the NWSL with Washington. This is a player who was U.S. Soccer's Young Female Athlete of the Year 2 years ago. She was a 2-time National High School Player of the Year, and now with the senior national team, she is a regular, and she is leading the U.S. in assists in 2017. So plenty to be excited about, and as we talked to Mallory, we found out that looking for challenges has been a pretty consistent part of her career.
Ever since I was little, I would always have a ball at my feet. I think having my older sister and going to all of her games, she was always my inspiration growing up. Just looking up to her and wanting to be just like her pushed me. I didn't play my last season of high school soccer, and instead I trained with the boys, and I wish I could have played, but I think sometimes you're going to have to make those sacrifices. being in an uncomfortable position is where you're going to grow the most. And I was comfortable playing with girls my age, so I just kind of wanted to step outside of that and really push myself. I think just having that competitive spirit, and my parents raised me just that you have to work for everything.
Pugh also credits her father for always standing beside her, and her mother for allowing her to find her way.
I think just having her through it all, and she always said that, this is so hard. She never forced anything on me and my sister, and she was always like, if you want to go play volleyball, go play volleyball, like go do what you want to do, and we're just going to support you. And I didn't really realize how much she like lived by that until like last year when I did decide to go to college, and she was like, no matter what, like I'm always going to support you.
That support proved to be vital when in April of this year, Pugh had a change of heart and left college before ever playing a game to pursue a professional career.
I just had a nagging thought over the past year, like what if I were to go to pro, and where can you be if you were to step outside of your comfort zone? I think that's kind of just the thought that kept on processing for me. You just kind of have to set your priorities straight, and I think for me, I just kind of realized where I want to be in the future and kind of what I want to do. So I think just making that next decision was what I needed, and it just kind of gives hope that girls can do anything that they set their minds to, and I think that it's just going to be just like a kind of stepping stone, and there'll be girls to follow, just that hope that you actually can do it and you can follow your dreams.
You can especially follow your dreams when you've got the support of your family. You can tell just how much Mallory's parents mean to her. Remember, she is just 19 years old. Such a year of transition for this young player. But Jim Gabera wants her closer to goal. Wait till you see where Mallory Pugh will be. Kat and I will have the starting lineups when we come back on Lifetime.
Introducing Flawless, the new gold standard in facial hair removal from Finishing Touch.
This looks like a lipstick, actually a very fancy lipstick.
But inside is the finest German-engineered technology that removes hair instantly and painlessly with microscopic precision. And with an 18-karat gold-plated head, it's gentle on all skin types.
I'm able to get the smoothness of waxing without pain or redness.
A built-in light makes it easy to see and remove every single hair from your upper lip, cheek, or chin. No nicks, burns, or irritation. Flawless is the fastest, easiest way to remove unwanted facial hair, guaranteed. So effective, it can remove hair from anywhere, yet gentle and safe to the touch.
I love that I don't have to wait for the hairs to grow out. I can use it every day if I want.
Call 1-800-394-2416 or go to finishingtouchflawless.com and get yours for only $19.99. Flawless. It's the other lipstick you won't want to be without.
Your reigning NWSL Player of the Week will be in action in our NWSL Game of the Week as Ariel Shipp had quite a game in Washington's 4-1 win over Sky Blue FC last Friday. She had a goal and 2 assists. That's her entire tally for the season. Got it all done in one game. You know, she and the Spirit would like a little bit more of that as they come back home to take on the Boston Breakers today. Jen Hildreth, Kat Whitehill, Dallin Cuff here with you. And Kat, let's take a look at Washington's starting lineup. Mallory Pugh moving up to that front line next to Shipp. A couple of changes over Jim Gabera, most notably in goal.
A major change for the Washington Spirit, and Didi Herachich getting a start over Stephanie LeBay. And this is a big change because LeBay has been so consistent and solid all year. Herachich is really going to have to step up and lead this back line because it's been an inconsistent back line all season for the Spirit.
First appearance of the season for Herachich as LeBay had played every moment for the Spirit in goal. Now for Boston, take a look at their starting lineup. Midge Purse moving to the back line. They've had a lot of injuries to deal with.
They've been dealing with so many injuries, and Julie King is one of those that's been dealing with the injuries she suffered against Kansas City, so they've moved her in to kind of save her legs. Moved Midge Purse back there. Nabby Smith in goal is going to be big in communicating to all of those 4 in the back as well.
slightly overcast here in Boyd's, Maryland. 83 degrees as we get set to kick off. There is a chance of rain, so everybody do a little knock on wood for us. No rain dance, whatever you would like, as we want to try to get this one in with no interruptions. Danielle Chesky will be our referee for this matchup. It's the second of the season between these two teams. Boston getting the win first time around, 1-0. And there you see the young goalkeeper, Didi Herachich, out of Loyola, Maryland. And imagine there could be some nerves there for her.
There's absolutely nerves for her. Coming into this kind of environment, a home field, there's pressure on this team. They need to win these games. It's a must-win situation.
Abby Smith back in goal for Boston. She missed a couple of games with injury, but this is another one of those young goalkeepers coming up to the U.S. system that has played very well when she's gotten the opportunity.
She's one of the best in the country, no doubt. Her passing range is amazing. She's excellent with her feet, but she's very athletic and she can make critical saves, and she's going to be key for Boston today.
You wonder if she will have any interaction with Mallory Pugh, who, as we said, has moved up a little closer to goal. We talked to Mallory this week. She said, I have to be more involved. This is a Washington team that really struggled on Tuesday night at Orlando. 0 shots on goal. And you get the feeling Pugh right there carrying some of that on her shoulders, knowing she needs to make a difference for her team. And then on the other side for Boston, Rosie White had quite a game in the Breakers' last game against Kansas City. Had a brace in that one, which wound up being a 2-2 draw. Rather unfortunate for the Breakers not to get 3 points out of that one. That's something they desperately need. Their last win coming July 1st against this Washington Spirit team.
Well, they just need to be better at managing games. There's a couple of games this year that the Boston Breakers ended up in a tie or a loss because they had the lead and they weren't able to manage the game properly. In that Kansas City game, they almost dropped back too much, which gave Kansas City too much possession. So if they can get an early goal and manage it better, that'll be good for the Boston Breakers today.
Both of these teams toward the bottom of the table know that time is very precious, as about a month and a half remaining in our NWSL regular season. Boston starting off with the ball all in blue, some stripes on the front. Washington in red. Anything you look for early with these two teams, Kat?
Well, the key is the midfield battle. We talked about it in the pregame, being consistent, making sure they're tight, not allowing for easy passes through to the center backs, for the center backs to have to deal with.
Giveaway by Purse there gave Spirit the ball in a dangerous spot. We'll see if they can make anything of it. That was one of Jim Gabeira's biggest complaints from Tuesday, that there were mistakes in the game they didn't take advantage of. This time, Herachich on her toes, ready to come out and clear that ball away. You pointed out transition really for both of these teams in their midfield and how important that was going to be, not giving the opponent anything easy. Remember that for Washington, this is the third game in just over a week. They played last Friday, had that encouraging win against Sky Blue FC. Then they went to Orlando, played on Tuesday, gave up 3 goals in the second half in a span of 13 minutes. Huster trying to play it through for Salon, and the offside flag goes up. So as much as you like to try to take it game by game, Jim Gabeira really forced, especially in terms of personnel, to think how he can manage this team.
Well, he's trying his best, and this was the offside call. And it's actually interesting, it didn't look like the assistant referee kept the flag up very long, and she put it back down. So it's interesting to see she was a little bit in doubt over there on that sideline.
Weimer collects it for Boston. Morgan Andrews trying to get it going the right direction. And Doherty Howard trying to get it through. A little too much for Ship to get to.
And another trend you're going to see today is both of these teams keep a pretty high line at the very beginning in the first half. They want to high press the defense, which means your defense needs to pull forward, which is why I want the midfield to keep compact for both teams, because if they get through easily, they get an easy ball over the top. And both these teams, Boston with injuries, Spirit with speed, they can easily get in the attack quickly.
Saw Jim Gabera. Both he and Matt Beard have had their hands full with injuries, to be quite frank, this season. Both teams have really struggled to have a consistent lineup on the field, and certainly that's part of the reason they sit at the bottom of the table at the moment, but that probably makes this matchup even more important. It's a fairly evenly played game. Mitch Purse goal was the deciding factor for Boston at the beginning of July.
Well, this is tough on both of these teams, but this is when leaders are made. And whether or not you're young or you've been in this league a little bit, these are the games where you can see your true nature, your true leadership skills. And for Tori Huster, she needs to be a little bit more vocal. For Angela Salem, Julie King, they need to be more vocal. They're excellent with their body language.
Chance here as Boston gets forward. Rosie White played it back to Weimer. Tiffany Weimer got to the end line and had it taken away. Up along that front line, by the way, with Weimer is Katie Stengel, who started this season with Washington, was let go, and now is starting for the Breakers up top.
There's a lot of that going on. Stengel is just the most recent. You have Cassie Common and Christy Mewis both on the bench for the Spirit, who were with the Breakers last year. Megan Oyster in the back line for the Breakers now was with the Spirit. So a lot of familiar faces for both of these teams.
A couple of them not in the starting lineup, maybe a little surprisingly for Washington. No Cassie Coleman or Christy Mewis. Both of those players traded from Boston after last season. And they've both been regulars in the starting lineup. Mewis didn't play Tuesday night at Orlando, so you'd think she would have some fresh legs if Jim Gabera opts to go there.
I was actually surprised not to see Mewis in this lineup, knowing the history. Plus, she played really well against Sky Blue and those fresh legs. So you can tell that Jim Gabera is really just trying to find the magic pill to put his team together to try and get some wins.
You know, you've got a really unique perspective, Kat, having played for both of these coaches, both of these organizations in your professional career. Salon stepping in. Just out of the reach of Doherty Howard, but Estelle Johnson comes up from her right back spot. Touch it out to Pugh. Doherty Howard, former Florida Gator, sends it through. Who wants it? It'll be Johnson to take it. Smith might have to make another one. Estelle Johnson gets the Spirit on the board.
This is all about the changing lines. Estelle Johnson coming from the back, getting in behind the back four of the Breakers, and it appeared that the Breakers thought more that she was offside, and they almost stopped, thinking that it was pretty obvious. But it's an excellent run there from both Estelle Johnson and Havana Salon, and Abby Smith with the initial save, but still no Breakers back there for the rebound, and Estelle Johnson is able to get in the back of the net.
Kat, how were there two, not just one Washington player open behind the back line of Boston, but two of them right there?
They were watching the ball, they were not talking, they were not communicating, and that's what I talked about in the back line. You need Oyster, you need King to step up, talk a little bit more, and Oyster and King, who haven't played a lot in the center together, just were not on the same page.
Where would you say King's most natural position is at center back in this match? But she's been one of the stalwarts for this Boston team over the years, over 100 appearances.
Well, she's just versatile everywhere on the field. She's super athletic. You can play her just about everywhere. I like her in the outside back position a lot because she's very good at going forward. You like her energy going forward. She really spurs a team with some of her runs. In the center back, she's smart, but a little bit needs to work a little bit more on her technical side. So if you put her on the outside, that's where that energy really and her athleticism really shines.
Good touch there by Alicia Chapman. then interestingly, Chapman and King playing next to each other on this Boston back line were the SEC co-defensive players of the year back in 2011. Chapman playing for LSU, King playing for Auburn. Another giveaway in the back by Boston. Salon's going to try to make him pay. Gets it to Ship. Not a great touch. Wanted to take it one time and didn't quite get the look she wanted.
Her eyes just got too big on this play, and a poor decision there from Oyster, playing it right to Salon, which leaves the space in behind Oyster because she was trying to play forward, but then a poor decision there from Shep. Should have taken a touch, gotten a better angle. You have to make sure you get something on it to beat a player like Abby Smith.
Adriana Leon haven't had a chance to call her name too much, has to play it back all the way to Smith. You know, you credit Smith for making that initial save. Anytime you have to make a save within that 6-yard box, you're doing a pretty good job. Unfortunately for her, it went right back to the foot of Johnson.
Well, it was the Boston Breakers defense just standing there stunned that there wasn't an offside, and even that Abby Smith made the save, they still weren't able to come back quick enough, and they just got to be better at defensive transition and doing it quicker, not hesitating at all.
Washington Spirit back home at Marine Hendricks Field in the Maryland Soccerplex. It is our NWSL Game of the Week on Lifetime. Jen Hildreth, Olympic gold medalist Kat Whitehill, Dallin Cuff. There you see Julie King. She's been at this quite a while for the Breakers. 5th year in the league, all with Boston. Also played for the organization in the WPSL. Kat, I know when you two were teammates, or you were her assistant coach as well last year, really kind of looked up to you as a mentor.
Yeah, we formed a special bond back there. We played a long time together, and we would typically play on the same side. I'd be the center back, she'd be the outside back, and she always would cover for me because she's a lot faster than I am. So I really appreciated her back then. But she's a special player for this program, over 100 caps, like you said. And she's celebrated in the city of Boston. And it's exciting to see her doing so well and now become the captain on this team.
It's such a young team, too. So, you know, as you've talked about, the importance of those veterans in an organization. Doherty Howard looking forward, wants to get it wide. Here comes Johnson again. She'll tap it up and across. Still Johnson has been very active, has a goal to show for it in the early minutes.
Well, now for Boston, Leon and Weimer on the outside, they have to be conscious of that, of Johnson and Dodasco getting forward. They have to track back. There's so many numbers right now for the Spirit. It's tough for the back four to deal with it. There needs to be a little bit more defensive responsibility from those wing-type players for Boston. But right now, the Spirit are winning every 50-50 ball. They're coming out on the tackles. They just really want this game a lot more in this first 12 minutes or so.
And you have to give a lot of credit to this Washington team. Every team in the league will go through the stretch where they're playing 3 games in the span of just about a week. And Boston is beginning it with this game here today. Washington at the end of it. So to get a good quick start certainly is promising for the Spirit.
It looks the opposite way right now. It looks like the Spirit are just starting it. They have a lot of energy, and it's been good for them to play so many games. They're getting into that rhythm. They've obviously had up and downs with a win and a loss in the stretch, but they look like they have the better rhythm at the moment.
Hurst doesn't seem entirely comfortable in that outside back spot. That's a great touch from Stengel, though, for Weimer. She's wanting to get it central for White. Chapman up to Leon. She'll cut it back. Leon, another cut. Still working it. That time took herself out of the play.
What's interesting, it looks like Weimer and Leon have even changed sides a little bit. And there's Rosabelle and a couple of other Boston Breaker players, and they're really missing her in the midfield because she's so good at playing that through ball. That's what they're kind of hoping a little bit more from Rosie White in the middle. Finding Stengel, finding Weimer, finding Leon on those outside places, and and really connecting a little bit more with the forwards.
Pugh trying to get it behind that back line, wanted a quick touch up to Ship. I'll stick around. Dallin Cuff is going to get to talk to Rose Lavelle at halftime. And she's certainly been the biggest of the injuries that Boston has had to deal with. Caprice Didasco is a player, speaking of injuries, that Washington certainly happy to have back, as she had an ACL injury in the NWSL championship game last season, which Washington wound up losing to Western New York. Zadorski's been out of the back line for the Spirit the last couple of games. Number 4, who just played that ball back. She's got some good experience back there. If there was a recipe for success for Washington that they had in that game against Sky Blue FC last Friday, especially the second half there, where they really were able to get some goals. Any of that you're seeing early on here that they're doing well?
They're doing a lot better job of pressing the back line. They're forcing mistakes from those back 4, and which is allowing for a quick transition. And that's what they did really well in that second half, especially, is they were just forcing Sky Blue to turn it over, whether there was pressure or not. They were just in the right pockets of spaces, and they were putting just a little bit more than they did in that first half. And right now they're showing that they have some legs. They're being smart in their pressure. And Boston just can't really connect a whole lot of passes right now.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Can this team, third game in 8 or 9 days, whichever it is, can they keep that up?
They're going to have to be smart about it. I like that in this first 15 minutes they've gone after it. Now they can step back a little bit. Maybe in the next 10 to 15 they drop back, not as high, and then go after it the next 15. So be smart. You obviously can't do it for 90 minutes. You just pick and choose your times. And if Jim is communicating to those players, or if he's talking to his leader, they know those times and they have those signals as to when to press, and they just have to go as a team.
That ball was headed right down to Leon. He'll take the shot. Won't test Herachich on that one. Adriana Leon, Canadian allocated player, first year back with the Breakers.
I was actually talking with Leon a little bit, because I actually played with her with the Breakers, and then she's been gone for a few years, and now she's back. And it's funny how it comes full circle, but she said she's really enjoying it, being back with the organization, and she just feels more prepared, and she's playing a lot better. And you've seen a lot of her play. She's very quick on the ball, good with her feet. She just needs to connect a little bit more with Stengel and White in this game.
Foul in the center of the field.
This is Huster and White just going after it. A definite foul. Went through the player, not getting the ball.
This ball bouncing in the area. Herachich gets it. Leon had a lot of contact in there. Dangerous situation created off that set piece, though, for Boston.
Well, that's that high line that the Spirit like to keep in. Right now in this game, they might want to drop a little bit quicker. Whitney Church is not the fastest. You have players getting forward like Johnson and Didasco. Maybe drop back a half a second earlier so you can deal with those crosses and not let anyone in behind.
This is Estefania Bonini, player who came back to Washington after being their leading scorer a year ago. Mallory Pugh will keep it herself, at least for the moment. Closely covered by Chapman. Salon left wide open, and the entire Boston team better plan a big hug for Abby Smith at some point.
Well, I'm actually very surprised it's not offside here. The referee was actually out of position, but it does go off a defender, so that's why Salon is still onside. Excellent save there from Abby Smith. She is really making that initial save, and you can see why she's one of the best goalkeepers in the country right now. She's so athletic and strong.
First corner kick of the match is played short by the Spirit. Get it back to Pugh. It goes all the way to Smith. It's touched out by Andrews. Spirit still at it. Had glanced across the goal line. And now our referee saying it went out of bounds, perhaps.
Yeah, it looked like it curved out of bounds. But this was an excellent job from Morgan Andrews to stay with their player, because Abby Smith had made the initial save. And you can see with the bend of the ball, it went out of bounds, and that's why it was a goal kick.
Dallin, you've got more for us down on the sideline.
Yeah, Matt Beard gave the fourth official quite an earful for no offside call, as Kat alluded to. We all were shocked here that there was not an offside call, and he let the fourth official hear it. Interestingly enough, the play before, when there could have been an appeal for a penalty for the Breakers, he didn't say anything. He was very quiet there, but the offside, he let him know he was not happy.
Thanks, Dallin. Always good to see what gets the coach's ire down there on the sideline.
I could actually hear him from up here screaming. I know that voice. I was around it last year a lot, so I knew that he was. I could hear him screaming down there. So probably not a lot of people heard what he was trying to say.
Leon and Chapman with some good interaction. Not quite enough on that back pass from Leon, though. Two Canadian internationals working together. Rosie White wanting to split the seam there. Awkward looking touch by Whitney Church, but does no harm. Matt Beard in his second season with the Breakers. Had coached with Liverpool and prior to that Chelsea in the FA Women's Super League prior to coming to the NWSL. Several of these players came over with him. Tasha Dowie, Rosie White, Amanda DaCosta, all played for Beard at Liverpool. Good step in that time by Salem. Shots 4-1 in favor of Washington through our first 20 minutes and change. Pugh touching it up to Salon, who was not quite ready for it. Purse, you know, she'd love an opportunity to get forward. She'll take the free kick here instead for her team.
But that's a sign right there of the inconsistencies of this lineup and not having Mallory Pugh in the game very often. And Salon is just running, and Purse is able to get there and then just running forward, and it's stopped, and the referee calls a foul there. But that's where you just need to get on the same page, and they're looking for that in this late stretch of this season.
Remember that the last time the Breakers had a free kick, a little further toward our near sideline, but about the same distance, wound up with a bouncing ball in the area. Leon wound up on the ground. What will Morgan Andrews do with it here? Huster won it in the air for Washington. Pugh beating Chapman. Off to the races is Mallory Pugh. She'll hold it up now. Vanini. Didasco making a run on the outside. Doherty Howard wanted to get it wide. And Washington still in possession. A lot of numbers in the attack now. That foul going to go against Washington. Julie King did not train all week. Really her first action yesterday in practice, she told us.
Yeah, and that's a definite foul from Pugh. Comes in late, and you can see how frustrated Julie King is there. And it's just a frustrating half so far for the Breakers, and they need to get on the end of those tackles just like there, and hope that the Spirit are a little bit late, because they just haven't found any kind of rhythm quite yet, and they need to start getting those tackles, inspiring each player, and just someone needs to step up for them right now.
Get that distribution from Smith as White is still in possession of it. White's ball into the middle, touched for a moment by Andrews. Purse, excellent. job bringing the ball down. Weimer couldn't hang on to it. Bonini making a run. It's another piece of that attack that you talked about. Bonini, as well as Pugh, just hasn't been able to consistently be in this Washington lineup.
But I love that run from Bonini there. Changing lines. Salon drops back in. Salon's looking for Bonini there. They changed spaces, which makes it very confusing for the defense to handle that.
Bonini on the ball now, just the 5th appearance of the season for the Argentinian. He's out a couple of games with a hamstring injury and was late coming back to this team after playing overseas at the start of the season.
Jim Guevara has high praise for her. He thinks that she's one of the best number 10s in the league. He's just sad that she hasn't been able to showcase this season with injuries and going overseas for a little bit. And she's just a big piece to this team that they haven't had all season, just like Mallory Pugh and just like a lot of other injuries.
Tough ball for King. First making her work and eventually turning it over on the far side. King having a little discussion with the assistant referee. She's quite a character, isn't she?
She is. She is a goofball for that team, and she always makes people laugh. And she's an excellent leader to have and a good teammate.
Johnson trying to get out that heavily trafficked area, and that's going to be a foul against Boston just outside the area.
This is Julie King coming in late this time. Absolutely a good call from the referee.
Sometimes it can be so hard to put that frustration behind you, can't you? And you don't feel the calls are going your way.
It is, but that's where she's got to step up as a leader. She's got to take a deep breath. She's the one that everyone's going to respond to with her body language, and she can inspire you with her runs, but she also needs to be there to calm everybody down and make sure they still play the way they want to play.
See if the Spirit can take advantage of this free kick. Smith says not this time. Ball by Bonini. Not quite enough bend away from the Young Breakers goalkeeper. Leon gets around Didasco, wants to get it up to Rosie White. Offside flag up against White. Thought she had done her job of staying onside.
She's looking at the assistant referee the whole time, and it looks like just a leg is in front. Good call from the assistant referee there, but still, again, I like this interchange between Stengel and Rosie Wright, getting White a little bit more forward. She has a little bit more speed than Stengel, and with this high back line from the Spirit, that's the space they can really exploit.
Has primarily been down at this end of the field so far in this match. Boston trying to thread Weimer through that time. Just 12 goals for the Breakers on the season. That's last in the league, so they've had their offensive struggles. Didasco trying to get around Purse. It's two in a little wrestling match, which Purse wins. And now it's given right back to Salon. Doherty Howard right up the middle, right to the feet of Smith. Well, it's been a busy week in the NWSL. On Tuesday, you may have seen the Orlando Pride get those 3 goals in the second half to beat Washington. An impressive performance offensively there from the Pride. Thursday, the first place North Carolina Courage got a late game winner from Lynn Williams to beat Kansas City. That was that rescheduled match. So Carolina extending their lead to 4 points at the top of the table. Remember, you can catch all the NWSL action that's not here on Lifetime on the Go90 app, go90.com. Also get caught up at nwslsoccer.com. Stengel looking for Weimer, too much. Tiffany Weimer, one of those players who's a journeywoman, if you will, in women's professional soccer in the United States. Boston, her 4th NWSL team in the 5-year existence of the league. White and Church trying to win that ball. Kind of like what Estelle Johnson brings to this Washington back line. She's been so solid back there and obviously does her job getting into the attack when the opportunity is right.
She's another versatile player that you can see on the outside, you can see in the center back. She has excellent speed, really good at getting forward as we saw in the goal, but she's going to be the one to help this back line as well in that leadership role. They're just, the Spirit are so young, they're looking for those leaders, and she's one that also needs to step up. Huster, one of those longtime Washington players, really struggled when she was out for several games with injury. White had the through ball, but not the right weight on it for Leon. Much better there from Boston. Katie Stengel makes a run out wide where Leon was running in, was where Leon was. Leon runs in where Katie Stengel left. They're able to get in a little bit behind. The pass is just a little bit too hard, but much better movement. It's been a little stagnant up there, and I'm starting to see the 3 forwards change positions and make sure they're getting more touches on the ball. Seems like just about every attempted attack for Boston has gone up the middle, though. Very little use of the width when they have gotten into the attacking third. Well, that's where a lot of the Spirit speed is in the back. It's Didasco and Johnson, and between the 2 center backs and Church and Zadorsky, that's where they're trying to exploit, especially because of that high line. There's a little more space, so they're really trying to go after it. They just haven't really been successful on that final pass. Well, tickets to the 2017 NWSL Championship will go on sale this coming Tuesday, August 15th. The championship will be held at the Orlando City Stadium on Saturday, October 14th, and will be broadcast live right here on Lifetime with a kickoff time to be announced at a later date. Keep up with all the latest information. Be sure to log on to nwslchampionship.com. To the North Carolina Courage, back on the top of the table. Chicago Red Stars right behind them, 4 points behind, and it is so tight. Chicago, Portland, Seattle. What a battle at the top of the table. New Jersey and Orlando just outside the top 4. Top 4 teams in this league make it to the playoffs. Top 2 will make it to Orlando for that championship game. Critical games this weekend amongst all those top teams. Top 4 going against each other, and then 5 and 6. So it's going to be an interesting weekend in the standings in the WSL. Chicago and Portland. That'll go on tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time in Chicago, and then tomorrow, Seattle and North Carolina. King. Chapman gets it up to Leon, and look, Johnson had come up, left that spot wide open for Leon. She crosses it in, headed toward the goal by White, but not quite on target. Couldn't redirect it quite enough. But this is the space to exploit. Well done from Chapman there to see that Johnson was up. Loads of space that the 3 in the back now have to cover, and Whitchurch just doesn't get out there quick enough. Leon finds the right player. She's open at the penalty spot, but White just isn't able to finish it. But much better there from finding those pockets of space that are left from the defenders from the Spirit. Rosie White, 3 goals, 1 assist on the season, including those 2 against Kansas City, as that's a big collision. Center of the field. Schuster and White going after it, and definitely a blow to the head there. And
well, apparently we are having a hydration break. We're going to take a break as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Maureen Hendricks Field at the Maryland Soccerplex in Boyd's, Maryland. Boston Breakers will restart it with a free kick headed out of bounds in the end, but it was touched by the Spirit, so the Breakers will get their first corner kick out of it.
And that's the player that you want to watch on these corner kicks, Julie King. An excellent vertical. Herachich finally getting an opportunity to see what she's made of. She's come off the line strong, give them confidence.
This is how Boston scored in the first meeting against Washington. They played it short. It was a shot from distance from Midge Purse in that one. That was the game winner. Salon trying to turn it into an attack for the Spirit this time. Bonini, Ship held up her run. Here comes Pugh, the shot, and another point-blank save from Smith. She has been outstanding from close range in this first half.
Absolutely superb. Player of the match right now.
Bonini's shot easily handled by Smith, but tack up another save for her.
Well, it was an excellent transition here from the Spirit. They were smart, they were patient, saw Mallory Pugh coming, and she just had a wide open angle, but Abby Smith, again, coming up huge for this Boston Breakers team. She has been that player all season for them, and they're so happy to have her healthy, but the Spirit is going to be so mad at themselves for missing all of these point-blank opportunities.
Sometimes those can come back to haunt you. Leon working on the outside. Now cutting back in. A run in from Salem. The shot, and there's a save from Herachich.
It's a good find for Salem. She just hits it, but it falls right to White. And this is where Herachich can gain that confidence with an excellent save. And she did just that for her team. And that's what you need from your keeper. And for her first start all season, that's a good moment for her and a confidence booster for her team. And this is the save here. This is Ann Salem coming up. An unfortunate bounce for the Spirit, but excellent save there from Herachich. Just one amazing save after another in a short span of time.
Both goalkeepers called into action there within the span of a couple of minutes. Will Smith be called on again? Good work defensively by Oyster, but right back to Didasco. Megan Oyster, familiar with many of these Washington players, as she was a part of the team that went to the NWSL Championship game a year ago.
And she has to be better with the ball. She's done a nice job defensively, but every time she's winning the ball, she's giving it right back to the Spirit in dangerous positions. That's a very dangerous position to give the ball away. She's lucky they didn't get a shot off.
That's going to be a foul against the Breakers, so a free kick coming for the Spirit. 5 saves in the match in the first half for Abby Smith. Almost single-handedly, or give her both hands, we'll say, on the saves, keeping her team in this.
Only one! There's only one!
I'd like to see her get more of an opportunity with the national team. She said she didn't have as great of a training camp as she wanted to in this past one, but she's one of those players you need to look out for in the future.
Get up! Get up! Get up!
Sidorsky to take it for Washington, bent toward Johnson. Couldn't get the angle on it she was looking for. Pugh tracking it down. Huster wants it right back to Bonini. Huster again, touches it inside. Doherty Howard got her first goal last week. Had a pretty good look at what could have been number 2.
And again, this comes from a Boston Breaker turnover and smart play. Good patience from the Spirit, but Doherty Howard just misses it. Nice pressure there from Purse to force her into a terrible shot, but still, it's the press has come back for the Spirit, and it's causing a lot of turnovers in the back for the Breakers.
Coming up at halftime, Dallin will chat with the 2017 NWSL #1 overall draft pick and the player of the month in April. That's Boston Breakers midfielder Rose Lavelle, who's out for her 9th straight game, still trying to get back from that hamstring injury she suffered with the national team. Plus, Kat and I will break down this first half, one that in all truth should probably see this Washington Spirit ahead by more than 1 goal. Oyster delivers it. Herachich comes out for it. Gotta like the aggression of the young goalkeeper there.
Well done from Herachich, coming off her line, making that decision. Good call from the referee. You want to protect the goalkeeper. But Herachich is showing a lot of confidence out there for the Spirit team.
And Herachich a little shaken up after that collision. This, again, is her first appearance of the season.
She just runs into a collision with Dingle.
It's been Steph LeBay who has really had a number of great saves this season, part of the NWSL Team of the Month for both April and June for the Canadian goalkeeper. We all might have scratched our heads a little bit at the change in goal. Expected to see some changes. Jim Gabera told us it was going to have to be wholesale roster turnover, just simply based on the number of minutes many of his players had put in the last couple of games this week. Didn't expect to see it at the goalkeeper spot, but he was ready for a change there. And this defense has given up goals, 28 of them on the season. That's second to last, second most, I should say, in the league. Weimer looking for Leon. Can she bring it down the way she wants? It's touched over to Stengel, and it's into the goal for Boston. Stengel took a hard collision there, but the Breakers never stopped.
And this is just a nice job of the Boston Breakers just wanting it more. Nice ball over the top. Stengel trying to get to it, but Leon, it falls straight to her foot. It's close to a handball even from the Spirit. So Leon able to fall on it, stay onside. Both players were onside, and 3 Boston Breakers were charging after that ball, and that's what they need to see more numbers in the box and pressing that back line.
So Leon picks up her 4th goal of the season to bring this match even just a couple of minutes before halftime. Stengel credited with the assist against her former team. And talk about taking one for the team. Stengel got sandwiched up there. And Leon took advantage.
And now those missed opportunities from the Spirit are really coming back to haunt them. They have completely dominated in this half. And there is a chance that it's going to go in as a 1-1 tie.
Johnson looking forward, and Pugh providing just enough of a presence to make Smith come out and play that. These two teams tied at 15 points on the season.
Now you can see Boston is dropping back a lot. They're not pressing that back line. They want to keep this as a tie. They know they're lucky to get out of this half, even on the scoreboard.
Breakers have yet to win on the road this season. 0 wins, 3 losses, 5 draws on the road. They have done a good job of getting that 1 point in a lot of games. Just haven't been able to pick up the 3. Just 3 wins on the season for the Breakers. And now they give up another free kick at a dangerous spot. Leon, the goal scorer for Boston just a few moments ago, will plant herself right in front of that ball and now back up the necessary paces. Zadorsky and Pugh. It'll be Pugh bending off the crossbar. Oh, that would have been a beauty. Purse trying to get it to Leon. Bad touch back by Zadorsky. Rosie White. Harachich recovers just enough.
And now Boston with the missed opportunity on that one. It's become a wide open game in these last 5 minutes.
Salon in behind that Boston back line. 3 minutes of stoppage time added on for that hydration break in this first half. Weimer all alone. How often do you see that right in that center circle? And you're right, this game is absolutely stretched out. Leon keeps it, gets in line. There's the service. Johnson, you just where to be.
We have to wonder about legs from the Spirit now. They were pressing the whole game, getting excellent opportunities, and now it's 1-1. The game is stretched. Can they keep this up for another 45 minutes? Will they still press because it works so well for them, but can their legs do that for them in the second half? And for Boston, they need to start figuring out a little bit more connection with the midfield and forward, but once they do that well, you can see how successful they are. And this is the almost goal here from Mallory Pugh. Excellent free kick taken. So close against the crossbar. And the Spirit again with another missed opportunity.
Do they have one here? Will it be another chance for Washington before that whistle? Bonini tripped up. Our referee Danielle Chesky right there on top of it, kept her hands down. No whistle.
It's always interesting to me on those kind of plays. If you're not going to call the penalty kick on that, then you need to show a yellow card. Because the referee obviously thought it was a flop.
Let's take another look at it quickly before we go to break.
Here's the play coming in. Ooh, that's interesting. Oyster definitely got a piece of that foot.
Now, Washington had the early lead. They now find themselves tied 1-1, and Dallin is with Jim Gabera.
Thanks, Jen. Jim, you coming in off a tough game midweek on the road. You guys controlled really, it seemed like the first 40 minutes. You go in at half, equalized. What's your assessment of this first half?
I thought overall it was okay, but we're still not doing things that we asking the players to do, get the ball wide and move it. We get caught. Maybe it's fatigue or the fact that we're taking too many touches, but there's not good enough movement in the attacking final third. And I think the one counterattack we had out of the water break, that's how we want to play. We got wide, we got on a counter, good movements out wide, and then changed the point of attack and had another chance and scored our goal, getting it wide. And it's frustrating when we keep forcing it central, and then you make a mistake at the back, and now all of a sudden you're level.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. And the Washington Coming up after the break, we have a special guest. I will be joined by the #1 overall pick in U.S. International, Rose Lavelle. She's working her way back from a hamstring injury. When will we see her on an NWSL pitch? I chat with Rose after the break. Don't go anywhere. 1-1 here from Washington.